Okay, it's 1 minute past 10. So should we make a start? Porrick, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Matthew. So morning, everybody, and a warm welcome to the Virtual School of Computer Science and Informatics at Cardiff University. My name is Porrick Corcoran. I'm a lecturer in the School of Computer Science and Academic Director of the DSA, or Data Science Academy. Before we get into it, I want to mention two housekeeping notes. This presentation is being recorded. Also, there will be some time for questions at the end, and you can ask a question by unmuting yourself or putting the question in the chat. The focus of the DSA is the provision of data science education at a postgraduate level, and in turn, the production of highly capable and employable graduates. The DSA is very industry focused with strong working relationships and collaborations with industry and public sector partners. The purpose of this event is to establish new and build on existing collaborations in this space. We held a similar event last year in person, which was quite successful. Looking through the list of attendees for this year's event, I was very happy to see many familiar names and organizations I personally worked with last year. I was also very excited by the many new names and organizations and the opportunities for productive collaboration that this brings. So the agenda for today's event is listed on this slide. Firstly, I will describe the DSA and its purpose in greater detail. I will describe the various opportunities we offer for collaboration with the DSA, plus the benefits of such collaboration, both to the students and you, the industry partners. The DSA is constantly evolving. Therefore, I will also take a few minutes to describe some of the progress we have made most recently. As I just mentioned, collaborating with the DSA offers benefits to both our students and industry partners. To illustrate this point, a couple of our current industry partners, Natalie from Cohort and Kevin from Welsh Water, will briefly speak about their personal experiences of collaborating with the DSA. One of our former students, Tom, who completed an MSc in Data Science and Analytics, will also speak briefly about his personal experience of collaborating with an industry partner. Our main avenue for collaboration is through MSc dissertation projects, whereby an industry partner proposes a project and a student works on this project over a 12-week period. During this period, the student in question is jointly supervised by the industry partner and an academic or lecturer from Cardiff. Fernando and Andreas, who are deputy directors of the DSA, will talk to you in more detail about these dissertation projects. In doing so, they will describe the process of submitting an idea for a project and provide you with some examples of projects to give you a sense for the types of projects we are looking for. Finally, we will close the event with some smaller group networking and the opportunity to ask some questions. Next slide. So what is the DSA and how does it go about achieving the above goals? Before I describe the structure of the DSA, I want to briefly pause for a second to describe its motivation. A recent report by the Royal Society found that the demand for data and AI scientists more than tripled over the last 5 years. This growth is far greater than the growth in demand for most other types of workers. In their analysis of online job advertisements, it was found that roughly 1 in 10 jobs required expertise in data science. Furthermore, the average salary for these positions was roughly 65k sterling. These are significant salaries and give you a sense for the supply and demand dynamics in the job market at the moment. The DSA was formed with the ambition of helping to address this data science skills shortage in a range of sectors and applications. Next slide. So the DSA offers a number of taught MSc programs. Some of these programs are listed on this slide and include an MSc in Artificial Intelligence and an MSc in Data Science and Analytics. You can find a full list and detailed description of all our programs on the DSA website. Many of these programs are interdisciplinary in nature. For example, our largest program in terms of student numbers is the MSc in Data Science and Analytics, which is a joint program between the Schools of Computer Science and Mathematics at Cardiff University. Our partnership with the School of Mathematics ensures that the content we teach on this program combines the necessary background mathematical theory with the practical data science skills. The benefits of adapting such an interdisciplinary approach to teaching is also reflected in our other programs, whereby the necessary data science skills are combined with practical discipline-specific skills. In the DSA, we strive to ensure that the content we teach and the projects our students undertake are industry-facing. Our motivation for this is that we want the students we produce to be highly employable with all the skills necessary to take up positions with little or no further on-the-job training. This includes the provision of both hard and soft skills to our students. Next slide. However, this goal may only be achieved through actively working and collaborating with industry partners. We offer a number of opportunities for you as industry and public sector partners to collaborate with the DSA. I mentioned before that a major opportunity is through the provision of student projects. We also offer a number of other opportunities. These include the provision of guest lectures and seminars to our students. For example, if your organization has skills in a specific data science technology, we would be delighted if you could come and speak to our students about that. If your organization offers internships or graduate opportunities, we will be happy to advertise these opportunities to our students. If you are not seeking to hire new graduates, but instead wish to upskill your existing workforce, we offer a range of CPD training opportunities. Finally, if you would like to sponsor some element of the DSA activity, such as student prizes or maybe next year's version of this event, we would be delighted to hear from you. Next slide. The above collaboration between the DSA and external partners offers a number of benefits to all parties involved. From the student perspective, they get exposed to real-world problems and data sets. These problems are generally more interesting than abstract academic problems, and therefore the student experience is better. Through working on these problems, the students gain a lot of practical skills which greatly improve their employability. The students also establish relationships with industry and public sector organizations, which may lead to future opportunities. For example, our students regularly take up employment opportunities with these organizations after graduation. There are also many benefits to the industry or public sector organizations. Through collaboration with the DSA, they build relationships with a growing cohort of specialized graduates which they may wish to hire or employ after graduation. A student working on a project proposed by an organization can help provide that organization with data science skills which they currently do not have. Finally, by collaborating with the DSA, you can also inform and influence the content we teach and in turn the graduates we produce. Next slide. This slide provides you with a very brief overview of our student cohort. In total, we have over 300 students this year, which is an increase of 140% relative to last year. The distribution of these students across the different MSc programs is shown in the pie chart. You can see that our most popular program is the MSc in Data Science and Analytics, which I previously mentioned. You can see in the figure on the right that we attract students from all over the world. Unfortunately, due to the current COVID situation, much of our teaching and assessment this year has moved online with some COVID-safe in-person sessions in Cardiff. Despite the challenges this presented, we've maintained a high teaching standard, and we believe this is reflected in the highly skilled students we currently have and who are looking for projects. Next slide. Before handing over to the next speaker, I want to briefly mention some recent developments within the DSA. We currently have a number of new MSc programs in the pipeline, which include collaborations with the Schools of Business, Psychology and Medicine at Cardiff University. We're also beginning to offer more flexible delivery options for some of our current programs. COVID permitting, the School of Computer Science will be moving into a new building in September this year. An artist's impression of this building is shown in the background of the slide. We are also in turn planning to expand the teaching space dedicated to the DSA. Next slide, Justin. Okay, without further ado, I will now hand over to Natalie from Cohort, who will tell you about her experience of working with our students from the industry perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Padraig. Hi, everybody. So yes, I'm Natalie Jacomez, and I'm currently a Global Director of Data Science and Analytics at Coates. And I was fortunate enough to do both my degree and my master's at Cardiff University. And over the last 18 years, I have held positions at the Office for National Statistics, so Cymru Welsh Water, Go Compare, and now Coates. And in each of those organisations, I've collaborated a lot with Cardiff University via offering students a placement to complete their industry projects, sponsoring events, presenting at seminars and lunch and learns, and even offering employment opportunities to students after they've finished their placement. So I'd just like to spend the next sort of 5 minutes or so sharing my thoughts and experience around the industry benefits of offering a dissertation project. So the kind of first benefit is increased productivity. Having a quality student join the team on a placement to complete a project can really help team members avoid becoming overburdened by side projects and freeing them up to accomplish more creative tasks or tasks that require a kind of higher level of expertise. It also offers an enhanced perspective. So student placements can bring more to the table than just an extra set of hands. New people can bring kind of novel perspectives that can break up the status quo, as well as specialised strengths and skill sets. And during my time at Go Compare, we included interns in our brainstorming and scrum sessions, which really helped add a new and different perspective. It can also be a kind of year-round recruiting tool. Participating in student internships and offering dissertation projects creates an ongoing pipeline of future full-time employees. In previous roles that I've had, we've been able to reduce the cost of company resources from recruiting and hiring by cultivating a pool of star students who have been able to who we've been able to offer full positions to after they've completed their placement. So that's a really, really good benefit. It also offers fostering leadership skills in current employees. So current team members can mentor, they can supervise interns, and they can gain valuable leadership skills. And I found this can be kind of a great training opportunity for an employee who eventually wants to occupy a management position. Community footprint is another really important benefit. Creating internship programs can help you grow your community footprint in more ways than one, really. Hiring interns opens opportunities for students and fresh graduates in your community and along the way, and it helps your company make a difference to the local economy, to local people, and the locality as a whole. The data science community is where it is today because of the hidden benefits of giving back, and offering student placements is an opportunity for companies to give back. There's also increased visibility, and this is particularly beneficial if you're a startup. So if you're a startup, it can help get your brand in front of students. Through such collaboration, you can get access to a lot of quality students. And when I was at Go Compare, we found that by impressing those students who we had on placement, word can spread quickly. And soon we found that the most sought after student talent were very keen and interested in working for us. Can also improve the work environment. Students bring enthusiasm, motivation, and positive energy. And this work ethic and positivity can easily rub off on others, improving the overall culture of your company. And last but no means least, collaborating with the Data Science Academy at Cardiff University allows you to build worthwhile networks and partnerships with a great university. And this not only puts you in a position to rope in the best local talents, but also makes you central to various network opportunities among a leading educational institute. So I'm kind of conscious of time, and I don't want to run over, but I do hope that kind of last 5 minutes I've been able to share with you some of my positive experiences of collaborating with Cardiff University and the Data Science Academy. And I just kind of want to end on kind of one last point. And I think the main takeaway for me over the past sort of 15 years is that in terms of both today's workload and tomorrow's workforce, offering dissertation projects is an excellent way to facilitate success in a company. So yes, yeah, I hope that's been beneficial, and I'll now hand over to Kev, who can talk about his experiences.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Natalie. Good morning, everyone. I'm head of data at Welsh Water. So my role involves at the moment looking after a number of data teams, including the data science team that we've got within Welsh Water. And I think a lot of the points that I'll mention over the next 5 minutes, I'd certainly agree with Natalie's points that she's raised as well over the last 5 minutes. It's an initiative we've supported at Welsh Water since 2015. We've taken on 1 or 2 graduates every year as part of the dissertation placement. And up until last year, they were joining us at our Cardiff office. And by joining, I mean actually being part of the team. They would sit with the team, work with the team on a day-to-day basis, join team huddles, and get to know the people within the business. Obviously, things changed a little bit last year, changing working conditions, but that didn't really stop the progress we were able to make through the dissertations. We were able to effectively utilise the ways of communication, the Microsoft team meetings, and so on. And still able to provide the students with the link into the data science team and the stakeholders that they needed to speak to for their projects throughout the duration of the 3 months. Certainly agree with Natalie's point about another benefit, really. We're a small team, the data science team in Welsh Water. There's only a team of 8, so this has presented us a real opportunity for sort of augmented capability to deliver the programs and projects that we have on our roster effectively. We've done some really good stuff with MSc placements over the last couple of years. Just some examples. We've looked at things like the effects of weather events on raw water quality. We've done some really innovative things, looking at adopting things like search theory. So we've taken approaches from other industries, things like mountain rescue and missing person techniques, and applying that to looking for underground leaks as part of our operational activity, and other things like looking at the links between customer contacts and relating to discoloured water and events on our network. So in many cases, this sort of projects to start with a good piece of statistical analysis using the data science techniques, and the things that we take forward from there. Once the student has left, quite often we've taken that learning and then develop that into some sort of fully fledged tool that we deploy into our teams so they can make those data-led decisions off the back of the analytics. I think for me, it's a value all in all because it's a win-win situation, if I could put it that way. It'd be really good to hear Tom's experience in the full moments from the students' perspective, but certainly from my understanding and speaking to the students after they've gone through the 3 months working with us, they found it really valuable. I think the way that we've tried to approach it in Welsh Water is the project they have is a real project. And what I mean by that is it's not a toy example or some throwaway project. It's actually something meaningful. First thing we do when we bring the student on board is talk them through what it is, but really importantly, explain to them how that piece of work is going to add value to us and our business objectives. This is a real need. We're going to get something out of it that's going to benefit either our own colleagues or our customers. It's something that's really going to add value. And I think that's extremely motivational then for the students as they work through the project over the 3 months. Feedback then, I think, as well as sort of being part of the team, this experience of the real world, in the sense of a working environment that they can take with them after they finish their course, and the real world challenges of working with data as well. I think you're outside of the kind of the safe remit of toy data sets and nice clean data. It's the real world where that isn't the case, and all the interactions with stakeholders and how that works in real industry is all experience that I think that they gain over those 3 months. And value to us, Natalie touched on it and I completely agree. I think our data scientists always learn something through the 3 months as well. So that transfer of knowledge really is working both ways. I think the broad range of topics covered on the MSc courses means we will always pick up something new whilst the student is learning themselves through the 3 months. The students we've had right the way through have always been engaged, always really worked hard right the way through the project, and have always delivered a really good piece of work at the end of it, at the end of those 3 months. And as I said, quite often it's been something that we've been able to take forward. And right now we've got several analytics products out there in the business that have been effectively based upon something that was done as part of an MSc project, and is now out there helping our colleagues make those data-led decisions for our customers. So yeah, as I said, equal a lot of what Natalie and Patrick have said so far. Really look forward to working with the DSA students again this year. I'm always excited to see what they can discover for us and how they can help us with our challenges at Welsh Water. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Natalie. Thank you, Kevin. So I'll just move on to our next slide for the student perspective. So, Tom, if you're ready.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tom. I was on the MSc Data Science and Analytics program last year, and I finished in October of 2020. I did my industrial placement with a startup called Culture Trip. And when I applied for it, they're based in London. I thought, oh, that's great. I'm going to be going up to London, working at like a cool tech startup. It's going to be great. And then a little thing called coronavirus happened. So it was all working from home. But despite that, I can take nothing but benefits from my experience with Culture Trip. And following on from what Kevin said, data science in the real world is very messy. It's not like when you have your coursework, you'll be given a nice little zip file with a CSV and you just read it into your Jupyter notebook. There's so many more like nuances to conducting like data science research and data science projects in the real world. So having that experience in sort of almost a controlled environment to sort of learn the nuances of that process, I think was invaluable for when you go on to apply for jobs after you graduate, because you can talk about your hands-on experience with those sorts of problems. And I'm going to talk a bit about how my project was structured within the company. So I was fully integrated into their data science team. I was involved in all of their sort of morning meetings and discussions, which is really interesting to see what was going on in the data science team outside of my project as well. And I got to work alongside some really, really great data scientists who showed me things that you wouldn't necessarily learn in like a structured delivered program, because it wasn't sort of your normal stuff. It was what they've picked up on their career as data scientists. So seeing those little like tricks of the trade and small things, I'm still using today and have completely changed like the way I look and work around data science projects and tasks. So working with great people who have been in the game for sort of 10 years just brings a whole new light to the topic as a whole. Also, as I touched on earlier, when you apply for jobs, you'll find that lots of data science roles, they ask for on-the-job experience. So they ask for quite a lot. They ask for a master's and experience that you probably won't have as a graduate, but doing these placements gives you that experience and that clout to talk about in an interview, which I find served me really well when I was applying for the grad scheme I'm currently on with the Office for National Statistics. So I think that doing these industrial placements sort of gives you, like, reinforces your credentials as a prospective data scientist. So yeah, that's all I've really got to say. Also, again, touching on what Kevin said, you don't just work as a data scientist as you do on your masters. You'll be doing very sort of like data sciencey problems. Whereas in an industrial placement, you see how a data science department will work in with, say, like a product department, and how you have to like manage expectations of stakeholders in your project. And it's not just about, yeah, writing a Python script and doing a lovely bit of analysis. You have to think about where the data is going to come from. So it really puts in data science where it fits in with the other departments within an industry, which you'll be doing when you go out into the big world of data science.
Great, thank you, Tom. So now we've got sort of project requirements and some examples from Fernando and Andreas.
Thanks, Justin. So we just want to let you know what the process is. Some of you already have been through this previous years, and it's nice to see you again. Some of you may have some questions. If any of the questions are not answered, please come and find us later and we can have a more in-depth discussion. As a summary, the time frame that we'll be looking at things are, if you have an idea, if you could let us know in February about it, and then we can go through the process of selecting during March and April. So we're looking at a very, very short proposal from you in February, and then we'll let you know by April if the project has been selected. And then we'll work through April and May with you to get it down to an idea. And then what happens is in June, the projects begin and they finish in September. So that's the timeline that this application through to project completion happens. Generally speaking, if you're wondering about how a project runs or what project you should be submitting, the short answer before I go into any requirements is that if you've ever said, I have an idea that I want to do, or I think I may have a project, don't worry too much, just reach out and talk to us and we'll work with you so that we make the project suitable, or we tell you exactly what we're looking for and work with you so that we can get it to a level where it would suit both of us. Okay, so just reach out if you have any ideas. Don't worry too much about technicality. We'd love to hear from you. So just reach out and have a chat with me or any of the team and we'll work with you. Generally speaking though, in terms of what we are looking for projects, you've seen the MSCs we have more information about the MSCs online. It should be something that aligns with the curriculum and the skill set that we give to our students. So if you have any AI projects or any cybersecurity project ideas, or if you have any data science ideas, or if you're sort of into journalism, you want to talk to us, anything like that usually fits in, aligns with the curriculum. Of course, if you have any kind of data that you would like to have any questions answered from it, or you'd like to have an interesting twist about it, then please let us know and we can work that out. What we're also looking at is something that would run for about 10 to 12 weeks. So if you can imagine having a master student working on your project for about 10 to 12 weeks, we need to remember there's development time in that for a piece of software or something to occur, but also that the student would be doing other work in the meantime, like writing a literature review or writing their thesis. So it's not just 12 weeks of development, but generally speaking, the time span that we're looking is between 10 and 12 weeks of working with the student on a full-time basis with you. You'd also have to be willing to give some sort of industry supervision. So although a student is allocated a supervisor, so if I'm supervising a student as the academic lead to guide him or her through their dissertation, we also expect that the industry partner would also be available for an X amount of time. It's not very much time. It's usually once every week or two, just to give a little bit of time, and we can be flexible about, do we do half an hour a week or do we do an hour every 2 weeks? We can be quite flexible on that, but we do expect some time commitment from you to just keep aligning with the team so that we make sure that the student gets the maximum benefit, and then that translates to you getting the best outcome available. So that is quite an important thing to have. It might be you, it might be a team people supervising so that you can alternate, but we do expect some sort of time. Also, if you have specialist data available, or if you have specific equipment that you want the student to use, then we need that to be available from the start of the project so that we don't delay anything happening. If there's any kind of NDAs that you'd like, or IPs, also please come and chat to me at the end or any of the other team, and we can talk to you more about that. Generally speaking, these are the requirements and that's the time frame. But like I said in the beginning, if you have any sort of idea or anything that you'd like to collaborate with, even if it's just in the back of your head, just come and talk to us and we'll work with you to make that happen. Okay, now I'll hand you over to Andreas and he'll talk to you a bit about examples of projects we have so that you get a taste of what we've been doing. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Andreas Artemi. I'm the Deputy Director from the School of Maths. I'm just going to give you one example that we did a couple of years ago with a collaborator in ONS, essentially Office of National Statistics, and it was about time series classification. I'm going to give you a brief outline of what the project involved and the timeline of meetings so that you can see what type of time commitment we need from you essentially during the project. As I said, this is one example. Some projects work with a bit of more time. Some projects need a bit of less time. But the idea was that I was approached from someone at the data science campus in ONS, and he told me he had this data set of time series counts that appear. Those are terms that appeared in documents, and he had about 100,000 terms. So he had about 100,000 time series. He wanted to use a classification algorithm to see if there are similar trends between terms and how to classify time series. And he told us essentially about previous work that they did in the topic, and essentially they used 3-4 different algorithms to do this time series classification. We went in. We had a chat, let's say before, about when he suggested the project. We had a chat about what he was looking from the project essentially, and he told me that he was looking for a sense of different algorithms, new ideas that he can put into analyzing that set of data. When a student was selected, we had the first initial meeting at the first week of the project, essentially with the three of us. It was me as the academic supervisor, him as the industrial supervisor, and the student who was working on. He gave us an overview of the data, an overview of the work they have already done on this topic. The student went back, reviewed the literature, and she came back with questions, and we went back to the industrial partner, and we had another meeting after 10 days, 2 weeks on to solve any type of questions that the student had essentially. We had then we left. We had a few email exchanges to understand everything that the student needed essentially in order to do the project. And the student, after reading the literature, came up with three new algorithms, essentially very recent algorithms to do time series classification. And we went back around midway into the project with some initial results, and we had essentially a third meeting with the industrial supervisor, where we presented some initial results. We saw what was his thinking, what he was looking for essentially as we were moving on to the final part of the project. And at the end of the project, the student gave a presentation essentially of the findings to the ONS. And as I'm showing there on the first column, the last two bullets, we essentially presented to them three new methods that they were not aware on what they can use to analyze their data set. And of course, this offered some new insights to the way they were analyzing that specific data set at ONS, essentially. The supervisor found it useful. We are already continuing that work with essentially PhD students now that are getting involved to see if there is something more that we can do on that topic, essentially. But this is the general framework of the topic. We get a description, something that you might have already worked on, and we ask the student essentially to see if there are new insights that we can give to you on this topic. That's all from me.
Okay, thanks, Andreas. So I think we're moving on to a networking and question session. So next slide, Justin. Yeah, so thanks everybody for participating. If you have any questions now did you want to ask in front of everybody, we can answer those questions now. But if you want to ask a question one-to-one, we will have breakout rooms